What's up, DC Nation? Welcome back to another video. And guys, like the video, give a big thumbs up. And you like the content I'm dropping, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the DC Comics content that I release on a daily basis. I go over all these famous storylines like Batman Last Night on Earth, pretty much Batman Nightfall, I'm doing that soon, Batman Court of Owls, and now Batman the Killing Joke. Now guys, this story is dark, alright? I'm just gonna warn you, it's a dark story, but it might be the best DC story of all time, or maybe the best comic story of all time. At least it's up there, right? It's one of the best, it's one of my favorite. It pretty much shows Joker trying to prove to Batman at this point that all it takes is one bad day for someone to go insane, because that's what happened to him. So a lot of people think of this as the definite Joker origin story. And guys, as we know, the Joker movie of Joaquin Phoenix, that movie didn't go by it. That one had a whole different origin. But this is the one that I like to think of as the origin, because it's very well written by Alan Moore. It has a lot of different stuff in it, a lot of stuff to unravel. It's very interesting, and the art by Brian Bolland just really sells the idea of the Joker. And guys, there's really three main points in the storyline that a lot of people remember. One, Barbara Gordon's shot, Joker's origin, and then the ending of the story of Batman the Joker. I'll be explaining in full, guys. So, to start out, we're going to be diving into the intro of this issue. This whole storyline is only about 46 pages, but I'm going to split it up as we go, different sections, so you guys can understand it better. And starting out, we'll see Batman pretty much trying to figure out a way to fix this relationship between him and the Joker, and Joker finally pushing it to the limit. Alright guys, enough of this intro, let's get to Batman the Killing Joke, part 1. So guys, first off, we got this dope cover right here. It looks pretty cool to see Joker with a camera, Batman the Killing Joke Deluxe Edition. I have this one. And him with the camera kind of foreshadows what happens in this issue. Now, diving in past all these different stuff in the beginning, we have different cool images with Brian Bolland. But starting it out, guys, what we see is pretty much rain just falling on the ground. And as we continue, we see pretty much a cop car pretty much approaching. And guys, this is really interesting because when it approaches, this is Arkham Asylum. And coming through the gate is Batman. And Batman's walking up. He's very nonchalantly about it. He's not really fast about it. He's going at a slow pace. He's making it through, and you see Commissioner Gordon right next to this cop, pretty much in front of Arkham Asylum. And he then sees Batman, passes his copy over, and leads Batman into Arkham Asylum. Now, at the front of Arkham Asylum, you see this girl pretty much lead them through the entrance. You see them walk by all these cells. You see Two-Face. Guys, Two-Face looks cool. You see him in his cell number is Den H0751. And as you go by, you see all these different villains, and they finally approach Joker's cell. Now, Batman goes in, he walks in, you see pretty much Joker playing solitaire, or pretty much playing cards. He's putting different cards down, and you see Batman go by, and this caption says there were these two guys in a lunatic asylum. So it really sets the tone. And they're in there alone. The cell door is shut, Commissioner Gordon and the cops are outside. Batman is alone with this maniac. So Batman is not surprised the Joker. He's not playing this out. He's going in fully pretty much, he's not prepared at all. He's just going in to talk with the Joker. So he's very vulnerable. You think about it, if the Joker was in here, this would be his best chance to kill Batman, but he doesn't. And what we see is Batman's in there, he's in front of the Joker. You see a lot of just the Joker's hands. You don't see his actual face. And you see Batman hello, I came to talk. And you see Joker's just not responding. And Batman's I've been thinking lately about us, about you, about me and you. And he's about how this will end. One of us will die. We're not going to live till the end. One of us will kill the other. Maybe it'll be me who will die. Maybe it'll be you. But Batman wants to reconcile the relationship. He's maybe there's a chance that I can bring you back from insanity. I can make you sane, and we can end all this. We can both end up in a good situation. And he says, but you have to pretty much trust me. You have to stop what you're doing. Stop all this insanity. And Batman is trying this because Batman, yeah, he could kill Joker, but he doesn't go by that no-kill rule. But it's going to the point that Joker's been around for so long, they've been fighting each other for so long that he has to kill him eventually. but he doesn't want to kill him and know that, hey, I could have did something that could have saved him. Like, I could have did something that could have brought him back from insanity. And what we see is Batman's like, are you listening to me? He starts getting angry. He's like, it's life and death that I am discussing here. He's like, maybe my death, maybe yours. And he's like, I don't fully understand why ours should be like such a fateful battle. Like, why should we keep battling if we can change this? And he goes to grab the Joker by the wrist, but then there's like makeup. Like, there's makeup on his hands, and then he takes a hold of the Joker, grabs him, and this person, who is not the Joker, obviously, is not the Joker, guys, he's like, hey, wait a minute, don't you touch me, I got rights. And Batman grabs him and sees that's not the Joker at all. The Joker is gone, and Batman's like, where is he? He starts yelling, starts crying, he's like, where is he? And this guy is like, oh god, he's actually scared. And you see Commissioner Gordon outside, he's like, oh my god, he's actually lost it. And Batman inside, he's like, do you realize what you've done? You pretty much just released like a maniac, one of the worst villains I've ever went against, out into the public. And you see Commissioner Gordon go inside, he's like, hey, don't touch that hair off him, don't touch the Joker, you can't hurt him. And then he realizes when Batman pulls off that wig off this guy's head, and Commissioner Gordon's like, oh, he's actually escaped. They're actually pretty frightened by this, because Joker's done some bad stuff. Now, we shift to the actual Joker at this carnival, and he's making a deal with like this guy. This guy, he's trying to sell his carnival. It's a pretty bad carnival, and he's like, oh, what do you think about it? And Joker's like, well, it's pretty ugly, it's pretty dirty, it's very dangerous, people could die for it, it's pretty much like a death trap. And this guy's like, oh, so you don't like it? He's like, you don't want it? And Joker's like, don't like it? I'm crazy about it. He's like, I love it. Because the Joker loves death traps. Like, he's not just making this carnival to sell to people and make it a fun place. No, he's using it for like a very bad reason, alright? Now, you see the guy's like, you really want this? He's like, he's actually pretty surprised. He's like, you sure you want it? And Joker's like, yeah, I totally want it. And the guy's like, the price isn't too steep. And Joker's like, no, it's not steep, it's perfect. And Joker's like, well, money's not really a problem, at least not these days. And then we shift to a flashback, which is really interesting, and this starts the origin story. You see pretty much this Joker, but he's not the Joker yet, he's actually a regular guy coming home to his wife, and the wife, who has an unborn baby inside this apartment, they live in like a pretty dirty apartment, it's not really a good place, and this girl's like, so how'd it go? How'd your act go? Because what he's doing is, he used to have a good job, but he threw it away because he thought he had talent for pretty much being a comedian, and he goes trying to become like a star. But he's there, he's like, well, they said they'd call me, he's like, it may be good, but he's like, I don't know, I got nervous, it didn't go so well, and the wife's like, oh, and she's kind of like, oh, upset, and he's like, what do you mean, oh? He starts getting like very nervous, and starts like yelling at her, like, I'm doing everything I can. He's like, this is not working, I need to do something. She's like, I wasn't trying to be mean to you, so I just said, oh, like, I felt bad for you. And this guy is like, you don't think I care about our family? You don't think? He starts like just going insane in a way, and he hugs his wife, and the wife's like, oh god, I'm sorry, baby, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry what's happening to you, I'm sorry I'm putting all this pressure on you, but it's fine, like, I believe in you, I trust you. And the guy's like, I don't mean to take all my anger out on you, like, the woman downstairs, pretty much like the landlord, she's giving us an extra month, like, she trusts you, she feels bad for you, she hates me, like, everybody hates me, I can't get talent in these comedian stuff, I can't support us as a family. And this old lady with the cat, she's actually listening to this whole conversation, like, she's eavesdropping, and he's like, I need to figure out something. He's like, pretty much our baby's coming soon, we're gonna have a child soon, we need to be able to support this kid. And he's like, I just want money so we go to like a decent neighborhood. I want us to have a good life. Right now we don't. And pretty much the wife's like, it's fine, I trust you, I know you'll figure it out. It's like, the one thing I love about you is you always make me laugh. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, and she's like, don't worry about it, we'll make it through this. And he's actually pretty happy about it. He's like, okay, you're giving me hope. Pretty much the wife and his unborn child is the only thing keeping him from going insane. Now we shift back and we see Joker walking through this carnival. This is in present day, and you see this guy get on top of this like pig thing. It's like another like ride, and he's like, huh, you're pretty positive about this. He's like, you won't regret about your purchase. This is an awesome place. All the different rides are not dangerous. They're very great, and he's like, so you're gonna pay for it? And Joker's like, totally, you're such a good salesman. He's like, you sold it to me, you're so good at that. And the guy's like, well, it's my privilege. He's actually pretty happy. Joker pats him on the back, and he goes, so he's like, well, turns out I'm not gonna be paying you because my colleagues pretty much decide this. And he's like, the property's already mine before I even came here. I think you may know that. And he's like, so you happy with that? He's like, yeah, looks like you're happy about it. And he starts walking away. He's like, he's like, there's no improvements to make this a perfect place, pretty much like a death trap. He's like, well, I gotta go. I gotta set some stuff up and pretty much do my plans. But you stay here, and I hope you stick around. And when he walks away, you see this guy, he's dead. He's on top of this big thing, and he's smiling. Pretty much when Joker patted him on the back, he gave him this Joker toxin, and he's dead. He just killed that guy like that. And you then shift back to Batman in the Batcave, and he has the Joker card. He's looking around, he sees a picture of the Bat family, and he's just remembering all the stuff he's went through with like the Joker. He's like been fighting for so long. He's like, it always ends the same way. He beats the Joker, Joker goes to Arkham Asylum, then he gets out, and it's just repeated. And he's walking through, he's looking, you see all these different Joker stuff that is like different like Joker items that Batman has got through all their journeys. And you see him make it through, he's talking to Alfred. Alfred comes through, he's like, you fine? And Alfred's like, do you want any like drinks, anything for like food? And Batman tells Alfred, he's like, all these years, and I don't even know who he actually is. I don't know who the Joker is. He's like, how can two people hate so much without actually knowing each other? He's like, Joker doesn't know about me, he doesn't know my identity, he doesn't know my story. I don't know his story, but we hate each other so much. We've been in this like battle for so long. Now, that's when we shift to pretty much Commissioner Gordon's apartment. We see Barbara, and Commissioner Gordon's pretty much looking at the newspaper, and Barbara's like, hey, drink, relax, don't worry about your job. You've been on the job all day, just hang out with me, it's all good. And Commissioner Gordon's like, well, the Joker's escaped. I have to pay attention to this. I know Batman will take care of it, but I still got to do my job. And Barbara's like, no, it's good. Just don't worry about the paper. Let's just hang out. And she's like, oh, well, my friends are coming soon. Colleen, we're going to go do yoga. You can stay here. Commissioner Gordon's looking at this newspaper, and he sees a picture of Batman pretty much grabbing this guy, and it's the same picture from Detective Comics number 27 from the very first appearance of Batman. It's pretty cool, and you see a picture of Joker below. Commissioner Gordon's like, wow, it's been so long. It started so long ago, the Batman-Joker rivalry. And you see Barbara, pretty much the doorbell rings. She's like, oh, that's my friend. She goes to open the door, and guess who's there? It's the Joker. And he's in this like new outfit. He has like kind of like a different shirt, a hat, and he's just smiling. He has a gun. He points it to Barbara, and Barbara's like frightened. She gets shot in the hip. She falls to the ground, and she gets hit through some glass, and she's in like total pain. And Commissioner Gordon's like, Barbara, and Joker's like, please don't worry. It's a psychological compliment. He's like, I'm just here to pretty much take you. And Joker's like, mind you, I can't say much for the volumes of her condition. She's paralyzed. She's not going to do well. And Commissioner Gordon's like, you scum, you hurt my daughter. He's getting mad. And he gets grabbed by different Joker goons, and he gets punched in the face, gets hit to the ground, and Joker's like, hey, be careful with him. We want him intact so we can drive him insane. They pretty much knock out Commissioner Gordon. He's like down, and Joker goes over to Barbara. And Barbara's like, she's like in total pain. She's like, I can't deal with this. Why'd you do this? And Joker's like, well, we're not just here to just shoot you in the back. We're gonna do a lot more. And she's like, why would you do anything like this? He's like, to prove a point. Here's the crime. And you see him holding a glass and just smiling in front of her on top of Barbara as she's going through like unmeasurable pain. Now guys, this part is a big deal because pretty much Barbara Gordon being like shot and stuff and being hurt and stuff, that's a big deal in her comics. And actually, after this, she wasn't in comics for a while because she got paralyzed, but then she became Oracle, and she actually showed up in the Suicide Squad first as Oracle, and then her identity was revealed a couple issues later in Suicide Squad. Then she pretty much made a team, the Birds of Prey, with Black Canary, Huntress, and she had a whole watchtower, like a clock tower, and she just operated as like a computer person. She was a Batgirl for so many years. Now after that, the clock tower then got destroyed. She had falling out with the Bat family. She got together with like Nightwing, like in the whole like not Final Crisis. Before that, in like Infinite Crisis. After that storyline, that event series, she got together with Nightwing. She actually had like a good life. Like yeah, she was paralyzed, but she had the love of her life. Nightwing, she had a good life. But then she separated with him. Before they were about to get married, they pretty much took off the engagement. She left, she went on her own, and that's when the final crisis came. Batman died, and she went together with the Bat family once again and gave the Batgirl mantle to Stephanie Brown. So you had Stephanie Brown, you had Orphan, which is Cassandra Cain. They came different Batgirl, but Barbara didn't come Batgirl again until 2011. 23 years later, because this comic premiered in 1988. So 23 years later, she comes Batgirl again in the New 52 after Flashpoint. This turns out, when she got hit, like the Flashpoint paradox, it changed her story. She came Oracle for a little bit, but then she had surgery, she got an implant, and came Batgirl once more, but still a bad memory in her mind that she remembers. This was a big deal for her like comic career, and it affected her in a big way throughout all these comics. And it's one of the big things that a lot of people remember in the Killing Joke that Barbara got shot. So after we see Joker on top of Barbara, we then continue to pretty much, we go back to the flashbacks. So we see not actually this Joker in the flashbacks, but he's not insane yet, he's just a regular guy. He's meeting up with these like mobsters. And he's like, you see, I'm a husband, I have to provide for my family, my wife, my unborn child, but I can't, I need the money, this could be actually big for me. And he's making a deal with these mobsters to go and like pretty much make a crime and get money out of it. He'll only do one crime, but it's enough to give him enough money so he can pretty much move his wife and his child, his unborn child, to a nice neighborhood. And he's like, I was a lab assistant before, that was a good job, I threw it away to be a comedian, and I thought I had talent, but I obviously don't, it was a bad idea. And the mobster's like, alright, we get that. He's like, I'm sorry for what's going on, it's just, we're gonna have you wear this mask. And pretty much, this guy, the Joker, he's like, hey, I need to be like unseen. I don't want to be caught in like a crime. He's like, don't worry, we have a thing for that. He's like, you'll wear this Red Hood mask that you'll put on, and you'll pretty much lead us through like this pretty much warehouse. And pretty much Joker's job is to lead him past security in this chemical implant, which that's where his origin will pretty much end. But this chemical implant will show up, do some bad stuff, and they'll pretty much carry out their plans. But the whole point of the Joker is to wear this Red Hood mask, not be seen, pull out this heist, this like crime, and then he'll get his money. And the guy that we're following, the Joker, is like, wait, but can I wear this? Like, is there any way to breathe in that? Any way to see? And the guy's like, yeah, there's a way to see. Like, it's fine. Like, it's gonna be very like tunnel vision. You won't see as much, but it's enough to get us to the security, and we can work this out. Now, the guy that we're following, the Joker, he's like, well, but is this a good idea? And he starts like saying, but what if we like pull a crime that's bad? And the mobster's like, hey, don't say that too loudly. And they're like, do you want your child to be in poverty? Do you want your wife? Do you want to suffer? He's like, carry out this job and you'll be fine. And the guy following the Joker in the past, let's just say the guy, alright? The guy, he's like, well, but I need this, alright? I'll do it. I'll carry out the crime with you. And the guy's like, alright, good. We'll meet tomorrow night, Friday night, and we'll pretty much plan it out and then carry out the crime that night. Now, we shift back to pretty much a hospital when we see the doctor talking to Bolland. We don't see Commissioner Gordon there, he's gone with the Joker. But we see Bolland, and this hospital is saying, to be kind of blunt about it, Barbara, she's paralyzed. She's not going to be able to walk for the rest of her life. And Bolland's like, man, this is bad. He's like, turns out like that one friend of hers, Colleen, she was killed. He's like, Commissioner Gordon's bad. Do you think Joker's going to the limit? And Batman's like, kind of mad. He's like, this is wrong. The Joker shouldn't be doing this. And Bullock's like, do you think this is pretty sick? And Batman's like, yeah, it's pretty sick. Please leave me alone. I'll stay with Barbara. And Bullock leaves, and Batman's in the room, which is Barbara pretty much asleep. He's like, Barbara, wake up. And he's like, can you hear me? And then Barbara's like, Bruce, they got him. The Joker's got my father. It's like, they're gonna do something to him. They're gonna try to drive him mad. The Joker's gone to the limit this time. She's like kind of insane. She's like, she's traumatized. She's like, they're gonna try, the Joker's not stopping, he's going to the limit, you have to do something. And Batman's like, I will. And Barbara's like, what he's doing to my father, it's not good. Like, he did bad stuff to me, but he's gonna do even worse to my father. And then, what we see next is we see Commissioner Gordon. And he's at this carnival, and he's pretty much stripped naked by these little, like, midget goons of Joker. And he's like, what's happening to me? He gets a collar around him, he's shocked, and he's naked, he's on the ground, and he's dragged through the carnival, and he's like, dear God, he sees like the dead guy who's smiling on top of like the pig thing, and he's pretty much put on the floor, and he's like, "Somebody please tell me, what am I doing? What's happening to me?" And pretty much the Joker is like, "Oh, I know exactly what's happening to you. You're going mad." And you see Joker's a dope image. You see all these steps, you see all these different stuff on, like, pretty much traumatizing stuff on each side. You see the Joker in, like, a chair, and he's just sitting back nonchalantly, just watching Commissioner Gordon go insane. And you see Commissioner Gordon, he's like, "Oh, I remember what you did to my daughter." And Joker's like, "Oh, you do remember that." He's like, "That was past tense, though. Don't worry about the past. It's good to pretty much forget about that. We're pretty much, like, focusing on the here and now." And they drag him, they put him on, like, this ride in the carnival, and they go through the dark. And Joker's like, "Be prepared to pretty much go insane forever." And then we shift back to a flashback of Joker, pretty much the guy that we've been following in the past. And you see him walk through, he's talking to the guys, and he's like, "Okay, it's Friday night." He's like, "We're gonna do this." And pretty much the mobster's like, "Okay, are you down for a night? Are you ready?" And the Joker's like, "Yeah, I'm totally ready for a night. I'd be crazy not to take this up. Like, he'll pretty much provide money for my wife and kids." And they're like, "Well, you have to wear, like, pretty much a bow tie to pretty much sell with, like, your red hood mask. It's kind of like trademark." It's, "Oh, that's perfect. I lied to my wife earlier about how I was going to, like, a club engagement for, like, comedy, so it'll work with, like, the bow tie. It'll make sense." And he's like, he's all ready for this. He's like, "Oh, I'm finally turn my life around and help my wife and my unborn child." But that's when the police come in. The police come through the doors, and you see pretty much these two police like, "Hey, can we talk to you? Can we have a moment with you, sir?" And they take him outside. And pretty much Joker's like, "What's the problem?" He thinks he's being busted for a crime, but turns out they're like, "Sir, I'm sorry, but your wife had an accident this morning. She was pretty much testing a baby bottle heater, and there's like a electric circuit, and the car blew up, and they're dead. Your unborn child, your wife, they're dead. I'm so sorry about that." And we see this, like, silence, and we see Joker, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "What? They're dead?" He's actually pretty sad about this. He's emotional, and then he goes back inside, and they pretty much, before he goes back inside, the police are like, "It's 1,000,001 accidents. This is very rare. It's never happened." And he's like, "Go back inside. You can deal with your wife and unborn child, like, their dead bodies tomorrow. Just go back inside. It seems like you need a drink. Like, it'd be better for you." And Joker goes back inside, and he tells the mobsters, he's like, "My wife, she's dead. My wife." And they're like, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry about that." He's like, "But you're still going out with, like, the job, right?" And Joker's like, "Tonight? Why? There's no point now. The whole point of this is to help my unborn child and help my wife when we turn our life around. But there's no point now. I have enough money to support myself that, like, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do this crime." And they're like, No. I'm sorry about your wife." The mobster's like, "I'm sorry about your wife and your unborn child dying, but you're still doing this. Like, you still have to go and do this mission. You can't back out now." And they're like, "If you back out now, you're gonna die like your wife and unborn child. You better be there tonight." And Joker's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll be there." And the mobster's like, "You're with us, right? Get the picture?" And Joker's like, "Yeah, I get it. I'll do it." And you see him put his head on the pretty much table, and he has this weird he puts his hands over his face, and he's kind of going insane. And guys, say one thing, there's a lot of focus on the hands in this whole entire comic book. It's a lot of zoom-ins on the hands, which I'll get to a theory at the end of the story about why that is. But guys, another thing that happened here is, I think that the mobsters killed the Joker's wife and his unborn child. Because how it is, like, killing that, like, it makes sense because earlier in the comic book, you see them talking, right? And Joker actually says to them, let me go back to it. So, pretty much Joker says, way back when he met with the mobsters for the first time, he's like, "Oh, things are never the same." And the mobster's like, "Yeah, never again." And he has, like, that kind of, like, if you read it, you're like, are they planning something? And then it makes sense that later in the comic book that his wife and child died. So I'm thinking the mobsters killed his wife and child so he could back out, and then now he didn't have to worry about family. So that's pretty messed up, and it shows that people can drive other people insane just by doing one thing. But guys, as we continue, we go back to Commissioner Gordon, and he has the same hands, like his head down, same hand position as the Joker did in that pretty much bar. And you see him in like this ride at the carnival, the midget goons the Joker around him, and Joker's like, hey, wake up, sit up, watch this whole thing, and he's pretty much singing a song about going about lunatics and going crazy, and he's like, you'll like this, he's dancing with his goons, and Commissioner Gordon's like, what the heck are you doing? And then we see him pass by, and he sees Barbara, and she's naked, she's going through pain, and there's all these different pictures of her, like pretty much being tortured by the Joker, and he's like, no, this can't be, he's yelling, he's like mad about this, he's yelling, Barbara, he's like, why would you do this, you lunatic? And Joker's like, oh, you're finally going mad, you're going crazy. And then what we shift to is pretty much, before we see this like develop even further, we see Batman traveling through Gotham City, trying to figure out where the Joker is, and we see him meet up with different mobsters, we see him meet up with the Penguin. Yeah guys, we see the Penguin, and Penguin's like, I don't know nothing about it. We see him meet up with all these hookers, these different mobsters, and it shows how like dirty Gotham City is, how many like bad stuff, like you wouldn't want to live in Gotham City. And you see Batman finally show up to like the bat signals shine in the sky. He shows up to a rooftop to meet up with Bolland, and Bolland gives him this card, and it's an invitation to the carnival. And at this carnival is the Joker and Commissioner Gordon, and Batman's like, alright, I'm gonna go for it. He goes to the carnival, but then we shift back to Joker, and Commissioner Gordon's, he gets out of that ride, and Joker's like, hey, Commissioner Gordon, how's things going? He's like, hello, anybody home? He's like thinking Commissioner Gordon's gone insane. And Joker's like, oh, this is boring, he's not even talking. Put him back in his cage. So they put Commissioner Gordon in a cage to pretty much think this over and go even more insane, while Joker looks down at a puddle. And this is actually an interesting scene. You see him look down at a puddle, and it's like how Commissioner Gordon reflect upon life and all its random injustice. It shows that Joker hates life. He's kind of like, he thinks everything happens in a bad way, and he believes this ideal that all it takes is one bad day for somebody to go mad, and that's what happened to him, and that's what he's doing to Commissioner Gordon. And what we see next is back to pretty much the origin of the Joker. You see them make it to the implant, and he's like, he's pretty much daydreaming the Joker in the past about his wife and unborn child, how they died. And the mobster's like, hey, wake up, we gotta pull out this job before we get caught. And we see pretty much Joker put on this red hood mask, he can't see, and he starts leading through this different place. He hasn't worked here in a while too, but he's leading through this different place, and these cops are like, freeze! And the mobster's like, I thought you said there's no security. And Joker's like, well, I haven't been here in a while, they might have changed things up. And they're like, you son of a bitch. He's like, you pretty much led us to our deaths. And they're all mad and stuff, and the Joker's like, it's fine. And they're going through like these different parts of this chemical implant, and they make it through, they go up a ladder, and these like different guys get shot, these mobsters, and they're on the ground, they're bleeding, and they shout to the police, so like, he's the leader of the Red Hood, go after him. And we see Joker running through the chemical the chemical place, the implant, and his police are shooting at him, trying to take him down, but coming out of nowhere is Batman. And he's like, I'm here now, I'll take care of it my way. And we see him jump over, the police stop, Batman goes after the Joker. He thinks it's Red Hood, because the Red Hood has been, like the Red Hood gang has been doing a lot of crimes in Gotham, and he thinks this is just another crime, he's finally gonna take him down. But Joker's like, no, this is not what's supposed to be happening. This is not my fault. He's like, please stay away from me. He's actually scared of Batman. The only time Joker will be scared of Batman. And he jumps over this different railing in the chemical implant, and Batman tries to catch him, but he misses. And Joker falls through these chemicals, and he gets out. He's like, it burns. He takes off the helmet. He's like, I have to see what happened to me. And he gets outside this chemical implant, and he's like, oh no. He looks, and he sees how like hideous he looks. Like, what happened to him? He now has green hair, his eyes are red, he looks like he has white skin, he looks crazy, and he just starts laughing. He laughs uncontrollably, and we see this like really memorable image of him. Just like, this image is used a lot. Like, you think of the Joker, you look up Joker on Google, you see this image immediately, because it's such a famous image of him just finally losing his insanity. Now, we shift back, and we see all these different goons messing with Commissioner Gordon in his like cage, and we see Joker. He's like, oh, did you finally snap? Did you come insane like I did? And he's like, oh, this is gonna be so good. And then we finally see Batman show up in his Batmobile. Now, what we see here is we see Batman get out of his Batmobile. We see the Joker with pretty much like sticks just waiting. We see Commissioner Gordon in a cage. Joker's smiling at him. Batman goes over and he jumps onto the Joker, tackling him to the ground. Now, Joker then pretty much tries to burn Batman's arm with his acid. And Batman steps back, Joker's there, and Joker runs into the carnival. Batman chases him, looks back at Commissioner Gordon. And guys, during this fight scene, we pretty much have Batman repeat like the same words that he did at the beginning of the story. He's like, I've been thinking, well, he says at the start, he's like, hello, I came to talk. I've been thinking lately about you, about me, about what's going to happen to us in the end. Perhaps you'll kill me, perhaps I'll kill you. Perhaps sooner, perhaps later. And pretty much Batman's trying to rehabilitate Joker and save him, but they're in like the Suicide Course and it's coming to its end. Now, Batman, before he's chasing the Joker, goes to Commissioner Gordon. He's like, Jim, are you okay? He thinks he's gone insane. And Commissioner Gordon's like, oh God. He's like, it's okay. And Batman's like, it's okay. You're fine. You're with me. And Commissioner Gordon's like, he showed shots of Barbara. Pretty much, Commissioner Gordon saw shots of Barbara pretty much naked, being tortured. And he's like, Joker trying to drive me mad, but he can't. And Batman's like, I'll stay here with you until they arrive, the cops. And Commissioner Gordon's like, no, go take him in. He's like, bring him in. And Batman starts to go, but Commissioner Gordon's like, I want you to bring him in by the book. Don't kill him. Bring him in. We'll arrest him, and we'll do it the way that we always do. Because if we kill him, we'll pretty much like prove his point that all it takes is one bad day, and you can drive anybody insane. But if we bring him in by the book, then we're going to get to this point. And Batman's like, I'll do my best. He's like, no promises. And he goes in, and he goes into this carnival, and you see an awesome image right here. Like, look at that. Right, there you go. Look at that. At the bottom, looks pretty dope. Like, you see Batman, he's all in the shadows. He's starting to chase the Joker. Now, as Batman's going through this carnival and pretty much trying to find the Joker says, hey, you got my free ticket, you got my invitation to this place. He's like, I proved that all it takes is one bad day. I drove Commissioner Gordon insane, and you can't go against that point. It's true. And he starts to say, he's like, you had a bad day once, right? It's like something happened to you that caused you to become Batman. He's like, I don't know what it is. And he doesn't say Batman, he says, what caused you to become like a flying rat? And he's like, what caused this? And he's like, you always try to make a point for all this struggling. Pretty much what Joker's saying is, Batman, there's no point in struggling. You should just become insane. And the world's mad. He's like, but you are pretty much dumb in thinking that, oh, you could go to the lengths, go to the limit to pretty much stop this struggling. And Joker's like, there's no point in doing that. And then he says, what caused you? What was your one bad day that caused you to become Batman? He's like, girlfriend killed by the mob, maybe brother carved up by the mugger. He's like thinking of all these things, but he doesn't figure out that actually this is Bruce Wayne and his mother Martha and father Thomas were killed in the alley. Like, if Joker was a little more smart, like, he's very smart, like Joker's very smart and like unpredictable and everything, but he couldn't figure out the biggest case in Gotham, the one with the Wayne murders, is actually the one that pretty much made Batman. Now, as he's saying this, he's like, I had one bad day. Joker's pretty much saying, I had one bad day that caused me to go insane, but I can't really remember it all. He can't even remember his own origin. He's like, I like to think of it as multiple choice, which that's a big thing that a lot of people associate Joker with, that his origin is multiple choice. Like, he has so many different origin stories that you can choose from, and it's actually one of the most famous things that people know about him. As we continue, he's like, you're not stupid, Batman. You know the reality. You know the things that I do. You just won't accept it. He's like, do you know how many times we almost went to World War III over some like dumb argument, or World War I? He's describing all these different events and histories that have been caused by like stupid arguments or certain like jokes. It's like, it's all a joke, and everything that anybody pretty much valued or pretty much went to great limits to achieve, it was just a big like monstrous gag. He's like, so why can't you see the funny side, Batman? He's like, why aren't you laughing? And that's when Batman breaks the glass. It's an awesome image, and the Joker's like freaked out, and Batman's like, because I've heard it before. And he's like, it wasn't funny the first time. He grabs Joker, throws him through the window, Joker falls through, and Batman's like, incidentally, I spoke to Commissioner Gordon. He's not crazy. Your whole thing didn't work. People who are actually normal, they don't go crazy like you do. You're just not normal. People who actually have a stable life, who are sane, you can push them to any limit and they won't go insane. And you see Batman go up to Joker as he's saying this, and Joker actually pulls out like a needle. It's a poison needle, the same needle that he tapped the one salesman on the back and killed him, but Batman pretty much kicks it out of the way, and then that thing falls to the floor, and Joker then is like, no, that's not true. He pulls like the cowl over Batman's head, that Batman, he can't see, he's trying to pull it up, and Joker's just laughing, then hits him with like wood right across the head, and Batman's actually, he's looking like he's going through like some torture, and Batman's on the ground. Joker comes by and pulls out a knife, goes to stab him, then Batman comes up, looks at his hand, and then turns around, catches Joker, pretty much his wrist, stops him from like stabbing him. Then Batman punches him in the stomach, then gets his fist back, punches him in the face. Joker goes flying out the window. And guys, notice these like this page. It's a very important page. We'll come back to it after I explain this issue. But we continue. Batman goes to walk toward Joker. Joker's on the ground. He turns around and points a gun right at Batman. Now, Joker aims that gun, Batman's all freaked out, is he gonna shoot me? Then Joker shoots, but it's not actually a bullet. All it says is click, click. It's pretty much just a fake gun. And Joker's like, damn it, it's empty. He's like, alright, what are you waiting for? Kill me. He's like, I shot a defenseless girl, I terrorized the old man. He's like, well, why won't you like just kill me? Like, this is the only time you could do this. I've done some terrible things. And Batman's like, because I'm gonna bring you in by the book. I'm just gonna arrest you. I'm not like you, I'm not insane. And he's like, do you understand? I don't want to hurt you. I want to rehabilitate you. I want to bring you back from insanity. He's like, maybe tonight is the night that I can actually bring it back. He's like, we're on our suicide course. He pretty much says the same thing that he said at the beginning of the storyline. And he's like, if we keep doing this, we'll come to a bloody end where one of us will die. And Batman's like, we keep doing this, one of us will die, like maybe me, maybe it'll be you, but we can change this. He's like, Batman's like, I've been there before, where you feel like going insane, but you just bring it back. I can help you. And Joker just refuses. He's like, no, there's no point. He's like, I'm sorry, it's too late. You know, he's like, it's funny. There's actually a joke that actually reminds me of, well, this situation reminds me of a joke. And Batman looks, he's kind of like, what? He's like, okay, explain. And Joker starts like saying this joke. He's like, see, there were these two guys in a lunatic asylum. He's like, and one night, they decide they don't like living in an asylum anymore. And he's like, they decide they're going to escape. And he's like, so, like, they get up onto the roof, and they're just across the narrow gap. They see the rooftops of the town. And he's like stretching away into the moonlight. It's pretty much their freedom. And he's like stretching away to freedom. And he's like, now the first guy jumps right across, easy. And with no problem. But his friend, he can't make the leap. He's too scared. And what happens, he's like afraid of falling. But the first guy has an idea. He says, hey, I have my flashlight with me. I'll shine it across the gaps between like the buildings. You can walk right across, and you could join me. And the second guy, shakes his head. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, what do you think I am? Crazy? And he's like, you turn it off when I'm halfway through. And Joker looks at Batman after ending this joke, and he just starts laughing. He's kind of like tearing up too. And he starts laughing. He's like, oh, excuse me. And he starts laughing uncontrollably, and Batman starts laughing too. And they all start laughing. Batman then takes a hold of Joker, grabs him, and you see this famous image of them all just laughing uncontrollably. And it zooms down, and you see the laughing slowly dying out. And you see a beam of light that pretty much symbolizes like that light that guy can walk across to get to freedom. But that light slowly goes out, and the laughter goes out. It's dead silence, and all you see is the rain pouring on the ground. The same image we saw at the beginning of the storyline. And that closes out the Batman the Killing Joke storyline. So a big ending, very ambiguous, but with the explain points issue out of the way, we're actually getting to me explain the ending, all my theories and opinions, and then we'll get to my review of this entire series. So yeah guys, without further ado, let's get to my theories on this ending. Now guys, this ending is very interesting because like we've seen before that like a lot of people have been coming up with theories, different opinions on this. It's very ambiguous. The ending has not been told out. Like that's where it ends. Alan Moore, the writer, actually made like a paragraph at the end of the deluxe edition I read. It's like, oh, the ending ends with Batman Joker, and then you think he's gonna explain it, right? Like, oh, finally the answer we've been wanting, but he doesn't. He cuts it off. So we will never know the actual ending. Like what did Batman do? What happened to Joker? But we can only just theorize. And my theory on this. Well, there's different theories. I'll go over different theories. I'll give the one that I go with. And The first theory is that Batman strangled Joker. So what happened at the end, they're laughing and Batman realized, hey, I cannot rehabilitate that guy. He pretty much just told me a joke that goes against what I'm trying to do, and pretty much the beam of light going out is pretty much his hope in pretty much rehabilitating Joker going out to him. Batman just strangles him, kills the Joker, and that's it. Grant Morrison agrees with this theory. He actually goes by it, and a lot of people agree with it too. But the problem with it is, strangle him, I don't think Batman would do that. That just doesn't really go with the Batman character. And then 2, that Joker shows up in future storylines so he doesn't die here. And this isn't an Elseworld storyline because Batgirl is paralyzed, so it goes in continuity. If you're strangling somebody, yeah, if they're laughing, they would die out of laughter, so that does make sense. But there's certain things that I just don't feel like Batman would just strangle Joker. And it doesn't really look like that from the image. Like, yeah, you may say, oh, the image didn't show it correctly. Like, yeah, I get that, but that's not the theory I'd go with. And Grant Morrison goes with it. He believes it. He thinks that's the correct one, but I don't really go with that. Another theory that people go with is that Batman actually killed Joker with the poison needle. Now, yes, throughout this issue, this whole story, we see a lot of emphasis on the hands. Now, we see the hands about pretty much at the beginning with Batman closing the the door that comes into Arkham, opening the gate with his hands, his talk with the Joker, or the impostor in Arkham Asylum. There's a lot of emphasis when Batman grabs the Joker and he looks at his hands. You see throughout the issue and even at the end, just a lot of focus on the hands, a lot of images. Guys, look at the background right here. You see a lot of images of just hands and stuff. You think why is Brian Bolland showing so much hands? Well, it's probably signaling that, hey, pay attention to the hands. It's be very important at the end. And at the end, you see Batman when Joker tries to hit him with the poison needle. He kicks the needle out of Joker's pretty much hands. Then, as Batman goes by him, you see Batman get hit by the wood, and then when he gets up, you see him look at his hand. And you're like, why is he looking at his hand? And even when Joker goes to attack him again with a knife, he looks at his hands as he deflects it. So, why does he look at his hand? That's a very weird image. And some fans say, oh, he had a mirror in his hand, he was trying to dodge Joker without looking at him. But I'm that's kind of dumb. I don't think that's it. Because one, that has to be established at all in the storyline. Batman doesn't have a gadget, just a mirror in his hand. And 2, that just looks like it's stretching. Just say, hey, that's the point. We have to have a point to these 2 panels. I actually think, well, I don't think, other people think that this needle, when it got kicked out of Joker's hand, fell into the ground. Batman then grabbed that needle and it punctured his glove. And some people think either that when it punctured his glove, that, he checked it and didn't actually infect him, and he got mad that pretty much he got so close to dying. And pretty much what he does next, he just turns around, you see a tone shift, and he just punches Joker, just start taking him down because he's angry. He just had a meaningless death. And later on, maybe Batman stored that poison needle in his pocket or so, and when he went to touch the Joker, pretty much touched him with that poison needle and killed the Joker. Now, the problems with this theory is, one, Joker again is still alive afterwards, and I know some people are thinking, well, maybe he killed this Joker, but the other 2 Jokers are still alive because there's 3 Jokers. Jeff Johns established that. But I don't think that's it. The 3 Jokers concept came at the end of Darkseid War many years later, and I really doubt Alan Moore was thinking, hey, in 20 years Jeff Johns is going to come up with this concept. So I don't think that's true. But another thing is, okay, if he put this poison needle into this guy of the Joker's heart, maybe he didn't kill the Joker, but just paralyzed him, which I actually like to think of it that way a little more, because, well, Joker paralyzed Barbara, so it makes that Batman would paralyze the Joker. It really brings it full circle. And if that's the case, that means Joker's just out temporarily, and later on he came back as the villain of the Batman, he wasn't dead. And that makes sense because then he's still alive. That would make a lot more sense than Batman killing the Joker with his poison needle. Now, one other thing that's going against this is when Batman kicks the poison needle out of Joker's hands, what happens is, I think that poison needle goes the opposite direction. It doesn't go toward the direction of the Batman. So when he's getting up and he touches it, would the poison needle actually be there? That's the problem with that. We like to think of it that way, but I think that when he kicked out of Joker's hands, it pretty much went behind Joker. And that's when the next panels we see Joker walking toward Batman, so that poison needle is behind him. So it wouldn't be where Batman would supposedly pick it up or just get punctured by it. So that kind of, this theory, it's cool, like, oh yeah, he grabs it, focus on the hands, he kills Joker with it, or paralyzes him, like, yeah, that's cool, but there's certain things going against it. But then again, it brings up that idea that, wait, but then what is Batman looking at? We don't know. Like, it'd be nice to figure out, like, I like theorizing. But guys, another thing that people are thinking is, when he touched that poison needle, what actually happened is he did get infected, he got mad, punched Joker, and he slowly started to die, and slowly started getting infected. At the end, he started laughing because he started really getting infected, touched Joker, and they both died there that night. But that makes sense, because why would Batman laugh at like a joke about like the whole lights and stuff? The Joker's joke, like, it's not really that funny, and it makes sense that Batman's actually dying, and then they both die. But the problem with that is, well, we have Batman comics afterwards. We have Joker showing up in them, so they obviously did both die. Those are 3 theories, and the one about the strangling, pretty much Batman strangling the Joker. The second one is pretty much him being punctured by the needle, then killing the Joker with it. And the third one is pretty much him actually getting infected and killing the Joker, and him dying himself. So that's pretty interesting, alright? Those are good theories, and the one that I go with, honestly, the one that I think is true, is even though it does have some false stuff that kind of goes against it and may not be true, I'm pretty sure it's probably wrong, but I like to think of it this way, is that Batman actually got the needle, only punctured, he actually didn't get affected by it, and he didn't kill the Joker when he put it into the Joker's side. At the end, when he's laughing with him, he actually just paralyzed him. And Joker was out for like a small time, same as Batgirl, and he actually gave Batman to pretty much cope with all his fallout, deal with it, help Commissioner Gordon, and then later on, Joker came back, and we pretty much continue the whole Batman-Joker rivalry. And instead of like this whole suicide chorus of Batman and Joker ending in this killing joke, it was actually the start of it. Because when Joker shot that gun, and Batman, the light going out is pretty much the end of Batman trying to save the Joker, so now it's just Batman trying to take him down. So that's what I like to think of it that way. Like, it's very interesting. I like to think of that Batman and Joker are now not in like the end of a suicide course or in like the middle of it, and we don't know when it'll end. Like, there is a DC storyline coming up soon, the Joker War, and it's marked as like the final Batman Joker storyline. Maybe that suicide course will end there, I barely doubt it, but still, it shows how fascinating the Batman Joker rivalry is and how it's some of like the best hero and villain storylines we've ever seen. But guys, before we end this off, before I go to my review, let's talk about that joke, alright? So that joke about how pretty much 2 men in an asylum, a lunatic asylum, they go up to the rooftops one day, and one man goes across, pretty much leaps across these buildings, making it to freedom. The other man stays behind, he's too afraid of falling. Then the one guy who leaped across is like, hey, I have a flashlight, I'll shine it across, you'll walk right across and be fine. But the other guy's like, are you serious? I'm not crazy. If I walk across, I'm afraid that you'll pretty much stop shining it halfway through and I'll fall to my death. Now, there's 2 ways that people have took this joke. Now, one way is the way that pretty much a lot of people take it, is that Batman and Joker in the lunatic asylum, one bad day caused him to get to the rooftop, pretty much the edge of insanity, and Batman was the one that leaped across, and he leaped to freedom, he leaped to pretty much pushing back this insanity and coming sane and pretty much striving for justice. Where Joker is the one on the other side who stayed behind, he's too afraid of falling, he's pretty much embracing that insanity, stuck in the lunatic asylum. Batman tries to shine this light, and he keeps giving him this light, pretty much giving him all these different like alternatives to help Joker be rehabilitated. But all these things don't work, because the Joker doesn't believe in him, he doesn't trust him, he thinks that Batman will pretty much lose hope in him halfway through, and Joker pretty much falls to the abyss. So that's one way to think about it. The other way to think about it is that actually Joker's the one that jumped across, and he jumped across the freedom and pretty much embraced that insanity. Well, Batman's stuck behind and stopped from jumping off that pretty much building. So Batman's on the edge of insanity, but he hasn't embraced it yet. And Joker shining that light across is pretty much trying to give Batman false hope that, hey, you can come over at me, come insane, and you'll be fine. But Batman's afraid if I walk across and start coming insane, you'll pretty much stop shining that light, and then I'll fall even deeper into insanity. I go with the first one, that Batman's the guy that jumped across. That just makes more sense. Like, yeah, I get, okay, Joker jumps across, the free him comes insane. Like, maybe, but by the Joker telling this joke, it makes sense that Batman's the one that jumped across, and Joker is the one that's insane, and he's not willing to go on like this light, this whole like the shining light between the buildings. So that's my thoughts on it. I go with like, I have my theories and opinions on it. I like this. This is one of the most fascinating like topics in all DC Comics, and I can talk about it all day honestly. But I like you guys to tell me in the comments section below, what is your theory about the joke? What does it mean? And what is your theory about the ending? Do you think Batman actually killed the Joker? Do you think he paralyzed him? You guys tell me. And with this explained part out of the video, let's get to my review of Batman, the Killing Joke. So guys, this whole story is amazing, alright? If you haven't seen it yet, I love this story. It's very well done. It's a dark storyline. Just seeing Batman, like this review is gonna be quick, because I pretty much told all my thoughts already. Like with the whole theory part, where I'm like explaining all my theories about like the ending and such, just shows I'm really invested in the storyline. Like I could go all these theories all day long and talk about it, because how interesting it is, and just the art by Brian Bolland really sells it. About with the hands, all the like the different perspectives, with Joker trying to drive Commissioner Gordon insane, and even the final fight between Batman and Joker is good choreography. Because today in some comics, like certain like hero and villains fight, but kind of cuts at certain times, so you don't see the full fight. Where here, it's like a very like flowing transition between the different punches. Like you see Batman get hit by Joker, he drops to the ground, looks back, hits him back. Like you just see that, and it makes sense. It makes sense with the storyline, and everything just goes at a good pace, and you're so invested. Like honestly, you could read this storyline and you're not going to put it down, right? You'll just read it all the way through. Like, I know like there's some storylines you'll start reading, like, okay, I'll take a break. No, this storyline, you'll read all the way through until the end, and even at the ending, you'll be like, that's it? Like, no, I gotta know the ending. It makes you so excited, and I really hope one day we find out what the actual ending is. Like, what if, when Alan Moore someday decides, you know what, I'll tell him the ending. I barely doubt it. Like, we're left to just theorize and give our opinions on it, but it'd just be so awesome to know what actually happened. But yeah, guys, I'm overall going to give this storyline a 10 out of 10. One of my favorite DC Comics storylines of all time, if not my favorite. Like, there may be a couple others, like maybe one or two other storylines that are up here with the Killing Joke, but this is just like a masterpiece, alright? It's one of the best comic storylines. It's like exceeds anything that Marvel does. Like, honestly, like I'll read Marvel storylines, but doesn't make me like think about like just like the ethical debate and about like pretty much insane as much as this storyline does. Like Marvel comics are cool, it's epic and stuff. So, oh, this is entertaining, but this storyline, Killing Joke, is entertaining and it makes you think for a while. Like, you know it's a good storyline when you're like thinking about the storyline for a whole day about theories and opinions. You're like, oh man, I gotta stop thinking about this, because I'm gonna go down a whole new rabbit hole. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the video. If you guys liked it, give a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the next storyline that I'm doing. I'm probably gonna do pretty much either Batman Court of Owls or Batman Nightfall, and it's gonna be exciting, guys. I love telling these stories to you guys, explaining and reviewing it. And yeah, guys, I hope you like this video. Stay safe and peace out.